What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode here of Palangi Studio of Rock, only on Radio Wigwam. Today we have two extraordinary guitar players here, even though I seen one play bass the other day, but all your photos have guitar. Mr. Derrek and Mr. Jeremy in the room here. What's up, guys? How you doing?
Doing good. How are you?
Pretty good. This show is also sponsored by Envious Music Magazine and Alyssa Ebersold Concert Photography. So if you need somebody to take some photos and stuff out there, she's good. And if you need some, some reviews on your music out there, make sure you hit them up. Derrek, are you driving right now?
I'm not driving. I'm at work. I'm actually out in my car. I had a meeting at work, so I had to, come in. But no, I'm not driving.
All right. Well, you never know.
Yeah, Derrek works on Wall Street in his off time, so
there you go.
Took a break from the stock market exchange floor and yeah.
Goes right.
Selling retail, you know what I mean? It's a new way of life, man. So I met all you guys at the Ace Frehley show. People don't know out there, these guys, they jam with Ace Frehley from Kiss, folks. And a lot more stuff. So we can talk about all that. I didn't know, man, Jeremy, you played with Gene Simmons too, with Ryan, right? Ryan was supposed to be here.
Actually, Gene is pretty much the one that got us the gig with Ace.
Okay. Wow. Derrek, how'd you end up on bass? Because I see you playing guitar everywhere.
Well, I'm a guitar player, and I just happened to be friends with Jeremy and Ace, and I guess when they need somebody to fill in, everybody's kind of comfortable with me, knowing this stuff. And I played with Ace years ago.
Okay.
So I'm just familiar with everything, and it's an easy step in when those guys need to do something else. So, I was just covering for Zach the other night when you saw me. So, like Jeremy, we've been Kiss fans since we're kids, so it's in our DNA.
Yeah, it's really the easiest gig I could do.
Really? Because I Googled you guys and it said, longtime Kiss fans. That's the first thing it said.
Yeah. My first concert with, I remember the year I got into Kiss was 1976. My dad had the Kiss Alive album, and he saw that I was into it. So he ended up buying me all the Kiss albums up to that point. And then every year the new album would come out, he'd buy me the new one. He took me to see them in 1979. On the opening night of the Dynasty tour in Lakeland, Florida. So long time Kiss fan, and I know Jeremy got similar stories too.
Except my dad is not as cool as yours.
Well, you're as cool as my dad. But that was I could sing them in my sleep. I could play them in my sleep. And I'm sure Jeremy too.
That was actually one of my questions is how do you get to kind of play that music? Do you get together and jam it, or do you already have to know it?
You already have to know it.
You already have to know it.
I met Ace Frehley on stage.
Yeah, I never played a show with Jeremy until I stepped on stage at that show you saw. No, it was actually the night before, but yeah.
Wow. So
we just get on stage, and it's a language. It's in our blood.
Yeah. So you literally just had the sound check, and that's your kind of mini rehearsal.
Yeah.
Yep.
Wow. Now, my question is how do you know if you got the licks right? Do you look them up? Obviously listen, you try to figure them out. Somebody give you stuff?
In this situation, like he said, it's in our DNA. I know all of those licks. I'm going to be honest. I probably know them better than Ace does.
Yeah.
I'll check in that. But even the way we move on stage, and there's little Kiss isms in everything.
I saw that. That was cool. You did the guitar thing where you're like, whew.
It's not even something to talk about, though. It's just something from watching years and years of videos, and it's just in us.
Yeah, you don't really think about it. It just kind of, you don't do it. It does you.
Yeah. You think that comes with experience too? For me, if I jumped into something like that, I'd be like, oh, geez, I want to rehearse or jam with you guys first or something like that.
Man, honestly, that depends on the gig. There's some things that you would probably want to do that for, but in a situation like this where it's so ingrained with you, he was 6, I was 4. You know, I bought my first Kiss record from this kid in my backyard.
Yeah.
I barely even knew music. And I went to my first Kiss concert when I was 7 in early 1983. And it's just been a lifelong thing. And that's why it's the easiest gig I could do. Like, I've just been listening to this music and digesting the band my whole life.
Yeah, it's like living in New York and eating pizza. It's that easy.
Yeah, we love our pizza in New York, let me tell you. Because right now there's people from all over the place because this station goes worldwide. So I kind of forget sometimes that there's people from like Australia and stuff like that. And I'm like, I wonder what time of day it is. I wonder what they're eating. What are they listening to?
Yeah.
I do know that overseas they love the rock stuff more than we do right now. It's still in.
Yeah, I would agree with that. They're definitely I don't know, a little more cut loose.
Yeah. Yeah. They do you see yourselves going overseas to do some shows eventually?
Sure.
Maybe, yeah. If it calls for it, man. So how did you start off playing guitar, Jeremy? Let's start with you.
Well, it was Kiss. I was completely obsessed with Kiss, and Ace was my guy, and it made me want to play guitar, and it all started there.
What was the name brand of your guitar, the first one?
It was out of a Sears catalog.
Okay. Yeah,
So
we all did. I think we all
there
started
no
there.
name on the headstock. It was just a black headstock.
Had nothing.
But you know, I moved up. You know, from there I went to a brand called Court, and from there I went to
Yes.
Fire, and then from there I went to Kramer, and from there I went to Charvel, and then after that it was all Gibsons and Fenders, and you know, all the high caliber stuff.
Nice. No name brand logo.
Yeah.
Ah, I had a little acoustic one from
I had a
Sears.
break-in about 9 years ago, and they stole that guitar, but they left behind the Les Paul that you saw me playing the other night.
Oh my God.
Oh, they stole the first one, the Ames
Yeah.
one. Wow,
That's incredible.
that's a collector's, man. It really
It
is.
broke my heart, though. I mean, you
Yeah,
know,
sentimental value.
and I got all the other guitars back except for that one.
Jeez. Oh, how'd you get them back? Like they
offered
try
me
to pawn
money,
them or something?
so the other ones that showed up at Sam Ash, you know,
Oh,
that was easy, but like, no, we're not taking that guitar, so they probably just
yeah.
worthless.
Oh, what about you, Derek? What was your first one?
Oh, my first one was it was Christmas 1979, and because of Ace, of course. And I got one of those acoustic guitars that come in the kind of acoustic shaped box with the cellophane on the front of it.
Yeah.
Comes with a book, had it like a Mel Bay book, and that was it. And I remember, I mean, I didn't know how to play anything. I think I just got it for Christmas that year. I don't think I started playing it until like maybe 2 years later. You know, I just had to have it so I could look at it and hold it. And I think I just played the high E string.
Like every guitar player pre-internet had a Mel Bay book.
Yeah, yeah. But
Yeah.
even I looked at it and I guess I might have had some slight dyslexia. I played everything upside down, like the chord shapes, you know, like for an E.
Okay.
Down right.
Did you tab your tabs backwards, like upside down?
I don't think they had tab back then.
Oh, okay.
Way back in the Stone Age. But I remember my dad had that album, We Sold Our Souls for Rock and Roll by Black Sabbath. And I tried playing Paranoid. Jeremy, you guys know how Paranoid goes. I just played it. I just hit the high E string. I went down, and then I went 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4 on the first 4. I played Paranoid. I had no. But that was my first thing playing guitar.
Wow. That's cool. So you guys are how Kiss was for you was Metallica for me. For me it was all Metallica. And Creed, believe it or not.
Well, it's funny you say that. I not to cut you off, but I think I learned actually how to play guitar like properly play guitars to Ride the Lightning, that whole album.
Yes.
Christmas 1984, my aunt got me that on a cassette, and I learned the album front to back. And
That's what you got to do. Yeah, well, I don't know if you guys felt it like, well, I guess there was no Blink-182 and stuff when you guys started playing, but I always felt like those are great chord bands and rhythms and stuff. But when I got that Metallica and Ozzy CD, I was like, this is the stuff you have to learn to play the guitar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The kids are like, oh, well, how about Jimmy Eat World, man?
Most of the kids in my high school were cutting their teeth on Metallica also.
Yep.
I wasn't a big Metallica fan. I like fun rock and roll, and
AC/DC?
cool. Yeah, I liked AC/DC, but even that, mid-'80s type stuff, I was into Van Halen and Motley Crue and Rat and, honestly, like Poison was my breakthrough in lead playing because I could play all that stuff when I was like 13.
Okay.
That was like how I can play that stuff. And, like CC and Ace's style were a little similar. It's kind of funny. I don't really listen to much Poison anymore, but like there was something about it when I was 14 that it was doable.
Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe the melodies in it.
A transition into harder stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know, like just it being possible was what made it, I don't know, like made me kind of stick with guitar. Like I can play that. And then, like when I'm 13 and, girls love that. Like
that sounds good.
You can do a solo to Fallen Angel. Holy crap.
Or that Talk Dirty to Me, that open.
Yeah.
That sounded, it's like great.
Did you guys ever, when you started out, did you play like talent shows, or was there like an open mic or something that you did like at that age, at 13 or 15, or did you want to play out live?
Well, you know what I used to do? You go to school and there's you have the assemblies, you go to the auditorium where there's the stage and all the bleachers. I always picture myself, I was like, God, I'm going to get a band together. Next year, I'm going to be on that stage with my band. We're going to be the youngest rock and roll band in the world. And just never happened. So
that is exactly how I played my first show. First day in middle school, I sat down in that auditorium. I'm like, I'm going to figure it out. And my grades were just good enough to join Beta Club that year. And it all came together. I knew the president. I'm like, all right, I want to do a benefit show. I don't even care what we benefit, but I want to put on a concert. And I roped in my guitar teacher to sing and play guitar, my brother on drums,
wow,
and his best friend to play bass, and his best friend had a PA and a lighting rig, and it did. It all came together, and I played that fucking auditorium, man.
That's such a magazine story. That's exactly like what you would read in a magazine.
But it was. When you said that, I'm like, that's exactly how it happened.
How long you guys been playing with Ace? Like, because I know Derrek had a lot of projects and stuff. What happened? How'd you get there?
Well, with me, I was brought into it by a friend of mine who was, friends with Ace back in the day, and I played with them for 4 years, and then I was, my friend brought me in. I guess Ace was coming off of, his semi-retirement. And he was making a new record, the Anomaly record. He needed a touring guitar player. So my friend Anthony got me involved. And we just hit it off. Ace is a great guy. We became really close. That's how I got into it.
Did you have to audition? Like,
yes.
Like playing?
Yes. And what's so funny is, like, look at me. Back then, I go to the audition. My friend Anthony was like, okay, I got you an audition with Ace. It'll be really great. He likes tall guys. So you got that. He goes, but one thing you got to do is you got to grow your hair out a little bit. And I was like, and I looked like Sting. So I show up there and there's all these guys that look like Nikki Sixx.
Oh,
and names like AC Blades and, Ricky Sticks and all this shit.
Yeah.
And I walk in and they all look at me like, who's this guy, And I was like, all right, well, you'll see when I get on stage who this guy is.
Because you had short hair. I seen pictures.
Yeah, I got up there and I did my fucking thing, and and that was I'm sorry, dude, I didn't mean to swear.
Yeah.
But
Oh, that's all right.
and I I was like, if I'm definitely not going to get it by my police look. So I got it by just, attitude and playing and backing Ace up, and just went from there.
Yeah, maybe because you didn't look like the other guys too. Maybe that did help a little bit, because it's like, well, what was that one guy that had his hair short?
My buddy put in a good word for me, because I think even Ace looked at me like, "Who the fuck is this guy?" But,
it's usually what happens, right?
But
Jeremy,
I'm very thankful.
Oh, go ahead.
No, I'm just saying I was very thankful to get the gig. It meant a lot to me. It's one of my proudest moments.
Yeah, being a huge fan of the band for years and years, and it's like working with your idol. You know what I mean?
Yeah, basically.
Yeah. And Jeremy, you started off with Gene and then switched over to Ace?
And then we did a tour of Australia, and Ace was the opener, and it was going to be a little too expensive to bring his band over, so he asked Gene if he could use us. So we wound up backing both guys, and that was. I know Gene knew that the Kiss tour was on the horizon, because it was getting late in 2018, and he told me that Ace was going to ask us to do the Kiss cruise that was coming up in 2 months, and we were already going to Japan from Australia with Ace.
Yeah,
so we were already over there, and when we were in Japan, he asked us if we wanted to do the cruise, and then we knew through people working with him that he was looking to make some big changes. So, we had Gene's blessing, and it was just,
you might as well, right? What's that like, doing 2 sets, hardcore sets back to back?
It was freaking awesome. That's what it was. It was a Kiss lover's dream. I mean, Ace and Gene together, and
that's incredible, man. I'm so jealous.
Gene were doing all these deep cuts that Kiss doesn't do, and
yeah. You know what?
And honestly, like, as cool as the shows were, the best part was being in airport lounges and listening to those two hang out and just talk about old times and talk about stuff and interacting and stuff. Man, that was the best fly on the wall moment of my life.
I bet your eyes are open wide and you're like,
just listening to the chatter back and forth between those guys. Yeah, man, that was the best.
But you learn a lot that way.
It was in Brisbane. It was at the sound check, and usually neither guy comes to sound check, but they both came that day, and we wound up jamming all kinds of stuff at sound check. It's even on YouTube. That was probably the greatest musical day of my life.
Wow.
I can imagine.
It was fantastic. I mean, there was just cover tunes, old Kiss songs. We'd do like a verse of this, a chorus of that. It was very cool.
That sounds cool. I was gonna say, no disrespect to anybody. I didn't even know Gene had a solo project.
It was his first solo band he'd ever done.
Yeah. Because I was like, oh, I didn't know that, but. Because the tour, the Kiss stuff keeps getting like the final tour and the next tour and the next tour and the rock cruise thing that everybody does.
That was sort of how Ryan and I got onto Gene's radar. Is Ryan had a cover band called Big Rock Show.
Okay.
I played guitar in that, and we did every Kiss cruise except for 2. And the stage is always in front of their cabins, so I know, like, they'd all heard us at some point. So
yeah.
Originally, Gene's solo shows, there were only supposed to be like 6 tied in with these Comic-Con things called Wizard World. And, Ryan was good friends with Doc McGee, so he had a good reputation with the camp. He had heard us, so, he knew that, we were musically competent, and he asked Ryan to put together a band, and I was luckily a good shoe-in there.
The rest is history.
It all kind of started from that.
Yeah, I one of the best bands I've had the pleasure to step in and fill in for, being around you guys, Jeremy. It's really just an incredible band.
Yeah, I was gonna say you guys, Mike Starr too. I was talking to him, and he's like, "I'm busy till January," and I wanted to get all you guys together, but your chemistry, I noticed, because I was behind the stage where the drummer was listening. I'm like, you guys have mad chemistry, and I
I've been
didn't.
playing with Matt now for 4 years, but I've been playing with Ryan in lots of different things for 10 years. I mean,
Okay.
we definitely have the chemistry. I mean, we even hang out on our off time and we talk on the phone every day, pretty much.
Yeah, that's what you got to do. I mean, you got to like your band guys, and you got to get along, and creatively too, if you have things in common. And it's so there's some bands that I've interviewed and met, and they're like they don't really get along with the band. You know what I mean? And I'm like, that must be tough.
I got to know Derrek completely independent of all of this
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah. The funny thing is we met when I was on the road with another band, and Jeremy just got on the bus, and I was like, we just hit it off. Remember that?
Yeah.
I was like,
Yeah, it's because Johnny was a good friend of mine, and I was kind of there to see him.
yeah.
Yeah.
And we hit it off, and we just kept in contact over the years after that meeting. And then when Jeremy and the guys were gonna start playing with Ace, I was in my studio, and it was like, it must have been like 2 a.m. And I get a text from Jeremy. He's like, "Hey man," he's like, "Can I talk to you for a second?" I'm like, yeah. And he's like, "So we he just asked me what it was like playing with Ace," and I was just like, "Man, what did I say?" I said, "Just be as."
Yeah, I just wanted to know if the check was going to clear.
It should.
Making sure.
But no, it was that, all joking aside, it was really genuinely like, is it cool? Well, I guess is the check clear. But yeah, it's just like, it was just like, yeah, he's great to work with. Just, be one of the guys. And I mean, he knows Jeremy's such a pro. I mean, Jeremy, a funny thing, man, I was watching this old Gibson thing on YouTube, and Audley Freed, he was doing some Gibson thing, and he mentioned you. He goes,
Yeah.
He mentioned you during the thing, and he goes, "Oh yeah, everybody knows Jeremy."
It was at the Gibson.
Yeah. So
I remember that. I was like, oh shit, he just called me out, man.
Everyone out there, when I met Derek Quick, I said this guy is like a music encyclopedia. Everybody, he knows everything down. We were talking dates with Ozzy and all this stuff.
You look it up.
You know everything. You got it.
But yeah, no, I do, and I'm a huge fan of Jeremy outside of all of that. He's a fabulous killer guitar player. But I was watching that, and it was just funny. I mean, because this is going back, like, I guess that seminar was like 10, 15 years ago.
And
then he goes, yeah, Jeremy Asbrock. I go, why am I not shocked? He goes, yeah. And then right when I said that, Audley goes, yeah, everybody knows Jeremy. It's so funny, because I just met Jeremy, and then that came up. It was funny.
It's funny, like the fans and stuff out there, like they see you guys play up on stage. Maybe they don't see what happens, behind the stage and all that kind of stuff. And even how, like, what I'm starting to realize is there's a small I call it a couple circles group. If you were to draw like some circles, they overlap a lot in the industry. You got the classic rock, you get even towards the modern rock and some other bands. I'm like, everybody kind of knows each other. I don't know if it's because, y'all live that lifestyle, you end up meeting each other, and it's like you have a lot in common.
it's funny, man. A lot of people that I do meet, I sort of feel like I know already.
Yeah.
It is like that.
Is it because it's like, the job thing? It's we all, play on stage, and
We all have mutual friends. Like
yeah.
we're only 2 degrees away if we don't already know each other. So you've heard about that person, or one of your friends has I don't know. Yeah. Even like some of the most famous people, I feel like I know because somebody I know knows them.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
Yep. But there's also, I'm sure Jeremy can, and you as well can say the same thing. You meet some people who are, you don't feel so comfortable around, even, you know what I mean? But,
Yeah.
and there are those people out there as well. But even when the first time I filled in with the band, I filled in for Jeremy for a show, and I had not met Ryan before, but I knew Jeremy, and it kind of like made it. I mean, Ryan made me feel like I was a brother right when I walked. I couldn't have been more comfortable, and that's what those guys have, that complete professional way of being. It's not a wonder why they've been successful at what they're doing.
Yeah, it feels better too if your friend is a friend, you know what I mean? That's kind of circle. It's not just like a complete stranger. It's like, well, my friend's doing this. I'm good friends with him. He's a cool dude. You're like, okay.
But what I'm trying to say is that that unit, those guys, have a way of making people feel like he's walking into it.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Oh, yep.
I felt so comfortable meeting Ryan, even though Jeremy wasn't the one who, you know, put our hands together to shake. He was kind of there doing the introduction without being there. You know what I mean? It's cool.
Yeah.
It was a very cool thing. Very proud to know these.
What's your guys' favorite like backstage story or something that has happened, good or bad?
Depends on what year it was.
Pick a year. Let's say well, I won't say recently. Let's you know, keep it maybe 2000s and up here.
Jeez, God, I can't even remember what I had for lunch yesterday.
And you know, another thing is like there's, I mean, we're all older, so it's like there's not really too much crazy. I mean, I'll speak for myself. There's not really that much craziness. The funniest thing is just hearing Ace interact with people he maybe hasn't seen in a long time, and the priceless things that come out of his mouth.
Yeah.
I mean, Jeremy, I know you guys got the same thing. Everybody's got some funny voice quote of him meeting somebody. Do I know you?
Everybody's got their version of Ace's voice.
And it's like
that sounds like him too.
That's the funniest thing, is seeing, you know, I'd say like in the Ace shows, that's the funniest thing I watch, is just watching people meet him, and then the band members kind of all sitting back and taking it in for the bus ride. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's surreal.
Yeah.
Do you guys do like the meet and greets too sometimes? Do you like to go out and fart around with the audience, you know?
I will talk to some people when they're in line to do their meet and greet, but no, we never do it with Ace.
Oh, okay.
Gene used to make us do some of them with him. I had more
that must be fun
about hanging out with Gene and funny stuff with him, because he liked to hang out before the show and after the show. And, you know, we kind of only see Ace when we're walking on stage, and then, you know, he does his meet and greet afterwards. The thing about Gene is you cannot leave your drink unattended around him, or your food, or he will dump a shaker of salt in it.
Really?
That happened to me a couple times.
Wow.
Priceless.
Does he just have salt in his pockets? You know, he's ready to
just know when we're at dinner or something, and, you know, like we'd be running around doing stuff while we're eating dinner, because, you know, we kind of had things we had to do playing with him that, you know, Ace has a crew for. And yeah, man, I got the salt shaker a couple times. One funny story, it's not my story, but I was there for it, and it happened to Philip, and it was the very first Gene gig that we did. And it was for this event called YPO, and it's, you know, a bunch of entrepreneurs and stuff. And we had this curtained off section that was our dressing room. And Philip was on the ground taking all his jewelry out, and he's like kneeling down and looking down. And Gene came in to tell us something, and he goes and sees him kneeled over, not looking at him, and he just undoes his pants, pulls him down, and sticks his ass that close to his head. And I just said, "Hey, Philip." And he turned around and asked right here. He's like a little kid.
Wow.
Likes being one of the boys. And
yeah, he seems cool.
I don't think Kiss does stuff like that, so that was why he really got into the Gene Simmons band.
I'd seen his reality show. I did like that. That was cool. That was a cool show. He seems like a very down to earth, cool guy.
He really is. I don't have as many Ace stories because I haven't seen him that much, before the show or after the show. In fact, the most I saw him was when we were rehearsing for the Alice Cooper tour last year, and we rehearsed at his house. So
Oh, okay.
like playing in his basement, which is like playing in your friend's basement with just like this little PA and amps too loud. And
Really?
yeah, it was a trip.
Because I think a lot of, like, I would expect there'd be like a huge setup, and you know what I
Well,
mean?
he had just moved in like that year, so everything wasn't together yet.
Okay.
So it probably looks a little better now, but like there was still just stuff, boxes everywhere, stuff, platinum and gold records leaned up against the wall, and
Unboxing. It's like it's not up yet, but it's right there, and you're like, I don't know, man. It's my thing is I suppose like all these guys now, you guys too. Do you all have like home studio stuff, or do you still go to the bigger studios when you record? Because I know like do-it-yourself stuff is really in now.
basically I'm doing this whole interview on my recording studio.
Okay.
It's just a laptop, and I have a Kemper, and so I played some on Ace's last record, and I did that in my kitchen.
Wow. Just direct in and boom.
Yeah, the Kemper into an interface, upload to Dropbox, and yeah, that's it.
So do you do a dry and then the sound from the unit? Is that what you do?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I've done some big studio stuff too lately. I mean, any of the other recording I've done has been in some pretty cool studios, but I definitely do not have a home studio. I have two young children. I barely even have any guitars here.
Yeah. I think Derrek does. We were talking a little bit backstage about some stuff, right?
What about studio stuff?
Yeah.
I'm a nerd when it comes to that stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I had a recording studio, like a full-blown recording studio up until about 2 years ago. And I had the studio for years, and I was like, God, I'm still paying rent and not making any money, and I could do all of this, and I own a house. I could do this in my house.
Yeah. Yeah.
What the hell am I doing? So I sold it to my partner, and I have everything I need at home. I have drums mic'd up. So it's like, and I just do everything at home. And thanks to Jeremy, I use a Kemper now.
It's easy, right? I mean, like, there's no mic. I mean, it's a pretty great thing for recording and speed.
I adore it. Yeah, I adore it. And I'm such a nerd too. I'm downloading it. I think I need another AC30 file.
Yeah. It's like this dude just made a new sound. We got to test it out.
Oh my God. Yeah. Dude, tone junkie.
Yeah.
But I'm such a nerd when it comes. I can seriously stay up to like 3 a.m. just playing with my Kemper, and I friggin' love it. I love it.
Do you make the settings yourself too? Do you like doing that?
No.
Yeah. No? Oh.
I mean, it's pretty involved. Michael Wagner, the producer Michael Wagner, is the guy that turned me on to him, and he did that a lot. And honestly, that's all way out of my league.
Okay.
Yeah,
That's the stuff I love, is how do you tweak? I go into that. You remember the video games when we were younger? There's option menus. None of the kids would ever go into options. I was that kid that did. So everything
really?
I get, I go into options and try to, customize.
It's pretty fascinating how they make the profiles. Like, it sends a signal through the amp that you're profiling, and it sounds kind of like dial-up, how when you get online and it sends all these signals through it, so it's determining where all of the frequencies are, and then like you'll mic out whatever cabinet you're using, and there's so much that
the syn waves
sometimes
they use.
Definitely a little more involved than like line 6 modelers and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So when we did it, he did this orange amp that I was using, and he was just like, close your eyes, and I could not tell which one was the profile and which one was the real amp. And that's how this is better than that other bullshit.
Yeah.
So you have the option of taking all those maybe the studio stuff, the sounds, right, and then bringing it with you, and like you said, recording it in your kitchen.
Yes.
But it was at this big studio, so I don't need to go to the studio. I can do it in my kitchen.
Pretty much.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's cool. I have a fractal unit, which is similar.
Yeah, I think they are similar. I don't know a lot about them, but like I hear it's like Coke and Pepsi. They're kind of the same, but they're
comparable.
And now they have that quad cortex. Have you heard of that?
No.
That's like the new thing that everybody's getting, and I was gonna get that. It was between that and the Kemper, and I just Jeremy kind of made me realize that that's the way to go. I can hear a little difference in the quad cortex and the Kemper.
Okay.
I think the Kemper has a little bit more. You're a guitar player, so you'll understand more like that thunk when you hit the strings. It's
yeah.
like that. It's a feeling thing, and I have not gotten that from any other modeler but the Kemper. And
you don't want that like digitally. I call it a source. It's.
Man, the only time I can hear it on the Kemper is in a small venue, like doing what we do with Ace. Man, I can't tell. But if I'm doing a small club,
live.
But like for a while, so Philip, the last bass player for Ace, he and I hosted a show in Nashville called the Rock and Roll Residency, and there was a period towards the end of it where he was on a Kemper and I wasn't, and I could tell the difference. I could hear the real amp a lot better, but
right.
And in a setting like we're in, where it's going through so many different things before it even hits the audience's ears, I challenge anyone to tell me the difference.
Yeah. No, I think it's a godsend. It's such a great thing, and not only that, it's so much easier on my back. And I would have a pedal board, and my pedals would get stuff all over. I'd like have a Strymon pedal I just bought, and so it would dump, or a break or a cable or something like that. With the Kemper, it's just like put it down. There it is. It sounds great.
Turn it on, and there's your whole show.
If you change something, just pull up your phone and do it. It's amazing.
Yeah. So you don't use pedal boards and stuff anymore, huh?
I mean, I have one up until July, using a pedal board with a wah pedal, 2 delay pedals, overdrive, blah blah blah. And I got the Kemper, and I used it for 1 gig, and I was like, I'm never going back. And it's it's
a step of not lugging around 4x12s and then the heads that weigh 60 pounds.
That was the thing that I was over the most, was like the carrying the gear.
Yeah, the tube stuff too.
You get older and that stuff gets heavier.
Yeah. It's interesting. I like to talk a little bit about gear too on the show, because I always say it's a little different. Not many people mention it during interviews and stuff. What I was going to mention too is, do you have certain guitars you only use in the studio because that's the sound, or that's the best sound for some reason, and then there's the best sound live? You know what I mean? Like I do. Like I use LTD, the ESP guitars, when I record. But if I teach lessons and stuff, I don't really care what I play through. But there's certain sounds, recorded from live.
Not really. I've been bringing my Gibson Les Paul out a bit lately, because I had been using that in the studio and I missed it a little bit. I had originally quit traveling with it because it was one of my nice guitars. I normally play guitars by a company called Vintage, and they make great stuff, and I've used those pretty much exclusively for the past 5 years.
Oh, wow.
And I found the older that I get, the less nerdy I get. I would love to go back and tell 23-year-old Jeremy that he's going to play a computer amp and knock off guitars.
Yeah.
I would have sworn that I was only going to play the best vintage gear for the rest of my life. And
yes.
And just kind of finding that stuff, if it sounds good to your ears, and feels good in your hands, it doesn't really matter what it is.
Yeah.
True. It's true.
I think it's that some of the digital stuff doesn't have the air that you hear and you feel. So I look for that in sounds and the modeling stuff. Does it have that? Is it capable of doing that? Do I have to do something different? You know what I mean?
Yeah, even recording, like I would have sworn that I was only ever going to record on tape, and
Oh God, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
yeah, I don't have the patience for a lot of that now. I mean,
No,
Yeah.
yeah, and there's
obviously an audible difference because, you know, we still lean the hardest on 60s and 70s records.
yeah.
You know?
Yeah. They do sound better.
Well, they'll run just the mix through it now, the total mix or the master, you know what I mean? So it's
I don't,
Well,
you know
in
what, man,
Pro
I don't think that's enough. I mean, I know I'm sitting here arguing the opposite, but those records still sound better.
Yeah. You know what album sounds incredible? If you put it on a really beautiful stereo, that Kansas album, Left Overture.
Yeah.
When you put that on cranked, that tells you right there, that's a friggin' huge sounding record you could never get today. It's beautiful.
yeah.
So
What do you
having
think-
said that, I don't have time for tape anymore. It's like, stop, and then you're right back where you started. They're like,
Yeah. And you're recording over deleting something or cut. Some guys used to cut the actual tape too.
I did that one time and it scared the crap out of me.
Yeah.
Oh, I wouldn't have the nerve to do that. I'd be so afraid.
No. I don't mind recording digital, but I love if you have analog gear with digital, it does sound better than digital alone. So, like with my fractal stuff, I will throw it on the outside into a tube preamp just to get that extra stuff, and it seems to work pretty cool. But yeah, I don't know. It makes it easy, you know, like for you people recording in your kitchen out there.
Yeah, the more I've done of that, the more I realize, and you know, like everybody's listening to it through little earbuds and stuff, and
Yeah.
you know, I suppose if everybody was still listening through hi-fi stereos and stuff, it might be different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I'd like to think as far as like mixing music and stuff is I still like to go to hopefully listening to, you know, a big boom box. Remember those?
Oh yeah.
Those big stereo systems. But hey, you know, there's stuff in there that emulates those sounds, which is cool too. So I think we've gone over probably a lot of my questions so far. There's like one. Any shout outs you guys want to give as far as like who you're endorsed by or any of that good stuff?
Like I said, I play vintage guitars pretty much exclusively. DiMarzio pickups, Elixir strings. I can't say enough good things about Elixir strings. Like I got a box from them back in 2019, and I am still working on that box.
Oh,
I've
wow.
played upwards of 10 to 12 shows on one set of strings.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow. Do you spray? Do you like spray
No.
it or use nothing?
Oh,
Not even a
that's
rag?
Oh,
No.
Wow.
That's a good shot.
No, they make good high quality stuff, and I mean in the store they cost a little more because of that. You know,
Yeah.
they do last a little longer, but man, I had one set of strings. I can't remember exactly, but it was like 15 shows, 5 rehearsals. I mean, it was just a dumb amount of work on one set of strings, and I still didn't break one.
That's for me, man. I've playing guitar for 42 years, and I hate changing strings. To this day, it's
Oh, really?
like doing yoga, especially my 355 with the Bixby. I swear to God, the amount of times I stabbed myself, or it popped off just as I was getting it like
Yeah.
wound up, and I'm just like, you know, I quit. I'll leave them on for like 2 months.
Yeah,
Wow.
just until you're like, man, I don't really feel like I should change strings. Changing strings is like doing laundry. I hate it.
It's like
That's-
emptying the dishwasher. It's just like, oh God, gotta do this.
That's true. The acoustics, I use Elixir. Love them. You ever heard of SIT? I've been using those because I play a lot with the Berkeley stuff. I was talking to Derrek about it, and I think I've only broken one set of strings, and they last a long time too. And they're kind of they're wavy. There's a lot of give in them, which is kind of cool.
Yeah, prior to Elixir, I was using the NY XLs, the Diodarios. Those are good strings too.
Yep.
I still use.
I'll play Elixir as long as they let me.
What gauge?
I play 10 through 52 only because
Okay.
8 tunes down a full step, and like I kind of need the higher gauge, the flat or the what's it called, heavy bottom.
Yeah. Yep.
Just because we're tuning down so far that I don't know, it sounded kind of weird with
Yeah. You want to keep the lows too. You don't want them to like gargle.
play Fender guitars though. I like to use nines on Fenders. I don't know, there's something about it.
Okay.
Yeah, I can't use I've used GHS strings since the day I started playing guitar. My guitar teacher went out and took a pack of GHS boomers off the thing to change it because my strings were like rusty. Changed my strings, and I've used them since to this day. But now I'm going to try out the Elixirs because of Jeremy's
because you won't have to change your strings like ever.
So for me, but with the telly, I also have a telly. When we're getting back to the guitars that we use in the studio, I use a telly only because of that sound, but I can't play it live. It's just not comfortable for me live. Like the 355 is just part of my body. But the if I put anything heavier than nines on the telly, my fingers are killing me.
It is, man. It's like bending cable.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. No, that's not bad. I mean, nowadays, everyone I talk to, they're like, yeah, we use 11s, 12s. I'm like,
man, what, they got something to prove?
And even Simmons can use light strings. I can use light strings.
yeah.
Rock and roll.
I was a 9 guy for a lot of years, but I tell you, I broke a lot of strings, and I switched to 10, and I did a little better. So
I was
like,
a 9 guy in the 80s, when we were all playing hot rodded guitars and whammies and fast play.
Yeah, it does help a lot.
And then, when I went down the classic rock road, I went up a gauge just because, I don't know, like you can kind of hear the tone difference in how thin 9s can be on Gibson guitars.
Yeah. I used to play a lot of Megadeth, and I loved it on 9s. It was perfect.
Yeah, see, you need 9s for stuff like that.
Yeah, but I'm a 10 guy now.
Ace plays 9s now.
Does he really? Even I heard his solo that he does, like the 8-minute solo, and you're like, he just gives us a cue, and then we go back on stage.
Yeah. As soon as when he does the Chuck Berry up the neck, that's when you know.
Oh, okay. And the smoking guitar. Smoking.
Oh, man, the smoking guitar. I know I've got like 5-10 minutes left.
Yep. You guys ever had a guitar that like sparks or anything? Like, I don't know how it would play if the thing's smoking and sparking. And
I used to do a Kiss tribute show every Christmas, and I was Ace. So,
okay.
And drummer, Christopher Williams, who's the drummer in Accept, made one. In fact, the thing that they use in Ace's Smoker now, that was Christopher's idea.
Oh, okay.
Remember that?
Like, it was like the vapor thing from a miniature screen set. And
I remember when they brought that to him to try out.
Yeah.
That was when I was playing with him. He was still using the smoke bombs. Rocco.
In fact, when I saw you play with him in 2008, I remember when he did that, then there's a fire extinguisher.
Yeah, totally.
It was over.
Show is where that guy brought the other thing for him to try out.
Yeah. So I have played with one of those, but nothing else. Nothing. I never shot any rockets or anything off the headstock.
Man, we could go on for like hours, everybody, talking about this stuff, and between gear and stories. But I appreciate everybody tuning in. Palangi Studios, Radio Wigwam here. We got Studio of Rock here today with Derrek and Jeremy. We almost had Ryan, but he had another gig. But maybe we'll interview him some other time. I appreciate you guys coming on. Anything that you want to say to everybody before you leave? This is your time.
Well, I just wanted to thank you and Jeremy. I wanted to thank you, Matt and Ryan, for welcoming me to help out when you need it. I'm always there for you guys. It's been a pleasure, and it's a great family to be involved in. Really
Well,
is.
I'm glad it happened because I got to see you a little more and hang out some. I mean, he's in New York and I'm in Nashville, so we text a bit, but like as far
Yeah.
as real actual
It really
face
means
body time, like that was a good time.
it
Yeah,
really was.
because he was like, yeah, I'll do an interview, but you got to get this guy in there too. I was like, so I know you guys were pretty good friends.
Yeah, he's a great guy. Great people.
And thank you for stepping in. I'm glad it was you.
My pleasure. I'm always there for you, bud.
Well, you got to thank David Nestor because I interviewed him on here first, and then he got the drum tech gig. Then I met you guys, and I'm like, oh, I gotta interview these guys.
It's been great hanging out with him. So he lives, about 30 minutes away from me. So we fly together now, and
nice.
He's been a good guy to have around. I like him a lot.
Yeah, I told David, I was like, I wish I lived closer because he's trying to do a studio for his drum stuff, and I go, we'd get along great. But hey, at least there's this Zoom stuff that we can do this. Remember the old days is call in and have a phone call, and that was it. There was what?
I said I'm sitting in my car talking to you guys.
Yeah, he's still driving, folks. He's going 100 miles an hour.
Yeah, it's okay. Somebody's called the cops on you because they think you're casing the place. Or like, there's somebody in the car. And...
This guy's talking to himself. Like, I don't know how long. Well, thanks guys so much. Maybe when you're off tour or something later, let's say 2023, I'll have you guys back, and maybe we can get another guy in on here.
That sounds good. And thank you for having me, man. I appreciate it.
No, yeah, thanks for letting me hang out that night for a little while. That was cool.
Oh yeah, no problem.
Westchester, and you want to get a bite to eat, buddy?
Yeah, we'll definitely do it again here sometime and see what we can do. Some studio stuff, maybe.
I'm down.
Yeah, I'll show you my kitchen.
Yes, the kitchen. You got to take a picture and go, look at my studio, guys. I got pasta in there, meatballs, everything. What are you guys' favorite food before we go really quick? What's your favorite food?
I like it all.
He likes it all.
I like pizza.
Yep.
Pizza and Indian food.
Okay. Pizza's usually the normal. For me, definitely pizza too.
And I think pizza sits at the top of everybody's list from childhood on. If you ask my 7-year-old son, he'd tell you pizza. I mean,
well, I got different places. I got one place where I'll only buy white pizza. One place I'll only get Sicilian pizza. And then I'll drive another half an hour to get grandma's pizza.
You're serious then.
That's all New York pizza nerdy stuff. We don't get to be that nerdy down here in Nashville.
Yeah, got nerdy ribs places and whatnot.
Yeah.
Kick your ass in Mexican food though.
Smoked stuff, man.
My wife loves Mexican food. That's her favorite.
That's crazy. Well, you got to be serious about pizza to do that because I do the same thing. You got your spots, you order certain things, I drive a half an hour to get a good pizza too.
But it makes me mad. Like,
you got it.
I thought you guys were able to just go down to the corner block and get awesome pizza.
The gas station pizza.
Oh, 7-Eleven pizza.
Oh, no thanks.
No thanks.
All right, guys, I appreciate it. Make sure you go on here for the reruns on YouTube. We're going to be uploading it shortly after, too, to all the social medias. It ends up on Mixcloud. Thanks, guys, for tuning in and listening on Mixcloud. We've been kicking ass here with all the interviews lately. They're like, whatever genre it is, we've been like the top 10 in Mixcloud for at least a couple days and stuff. And all the shows out there, as I say, any show on Radio Wigwam, because there's a couple DJs on there, check them all out and support independent music, any music nowadays. Like, buy stuff, physical products, right? That's what I say too, is don't stream but download.
Agreed.
Works for me. See you guys very much. I'll talk to you soon.
Thanks, Frank.